April 2017 horoscopes. And guys, I don't want to over dramatize, but I believe this will be probably the most important month of the year, if not for a few years, because when I started looking at the astrology of April, I was a bit, overwhelmed, because we will have 4 planets becoming stationary, which means they're not going to be moving in the sky. It will look like they're staying in one place. And when a planet becomes stationary, it means it's changing direction. And I've never, since I've been doing videos in the last 6 years, I've never seen such a convergence of 4 planets at the same time, in the same month, changing direction. And when planets change their directions, they become 5 times stronger, and they become 5 times more likely to give big changes in life. And it's changing direction is like reversals in the directions and derailing of the train and starting on a different path. So it's going to be such a huge month, and I'm going to walk you through each of the planets, what it means for each of the signs. So bear with me, I think, because you have to watch this video, because it's going to be if you don't watch any other monthly video, watch at least April. And before I start, just wanted to tell you that from May, sometime in May, I'm starting a 6-month course in astrology, and every 2 weeks I'll be speaking about for 3-4 hours on a Sunday about each sign, starting with Aries, Taurus, what it means to have planets in Aries, what it means to have Aries in a certain house, what it means to have Aries ascendant, why Aries or Taurus or whatever sign you are, guys, what it means to have each sign. We're going to go in depth. We're going to start astrology 101, and even if you never learn anything else about astrology, but understand in depth each sign for the 3-4 hours that I'm going to do weekly, this is going to be enough for you to even predict for the people, because just knowing someone ascendant can help you see the fate and the money and the health and the career and the relationships and the love and the karma of a person just by knowing their ascendant sign. And I'll teach you how to see all of this. We're going into really esoteric and astrology without needing to know any astrology. And if you subscribe for the whole course, which is 12 signs, you get it half price. If not, you can just get each one for $29, whichever sign you want to see. Pisces, April 2017, and on that pivotal month, guys, let's see how Pisces will be affected, because so many planets are retrograde or changing direction or becoming direct or becoming retrograde. This is, it's like having the 4 major players, which is Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, the planet that rules you, and Venus. Out of the 5 possible planets, that important visible planets that can go retrograde, all but Mars are all moving in different direction, changing direction, or moving in a direction opposite of their natural movement. So what does it mean? I mean, generally for everyone, it means, guys, that our life can shift into a different rails. Our life and our perception of reality and the circumstances around us can also change direction now. And with so many retrograde planets at one moment, I think the 4 of them, Saturn, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter, in April are all retrograde, moving in the opposite direction, which always a retrograde planet, things are developing a bit slower, and they require more effort. So things can feel a little bit more effortful, if there is such a word, requiring more effort, requiring more of deeper contemplation and going within to understand what really we have to do. And like retrograde planet, always the ancients said that a retrograde planet is 3 times stronger than a forward moving planet, because it's much closer to Earth. And not only that, but together with the retrogression, there is stationarity, like they're stationary at the same time. So they're 5 times even more powerful, those planets, to make changes in our life, and it's not the planets that make changes in their life, they just reflect that certain deep changes are happening on a profound level in you, and that will reflect in your outer reality as well. So, wow, let's see how, and 3 times more efforts retrograde planets require, but the results of that is that after you've put those efforts, after you've put that contemplation, that reevaluation, that trimming of things that are not necessary, that going back and saying, okay, this is no longer needed, chop, 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 or let me fix it, let me improve it, let me, make it better. Okay, it's more effort, it can be frustrating, but the results after that can be 3 times more longer lasting and more productive. So even if you feel a little bit frustrated with all this retrograde energy, or a little bit overwhelmed, or feeling like things have stopped somehow, this is the pivotal time when things are brewing. You know, just like the ancient astrologers, they compare a stationary planet to a man meditating. And we meditate to gain clarity, to gain, and you know, a man in meditation, his aura becomes 5 times bigger and more concentrated and powerful, and more intense. In the same way, when planet is stationary, we generate like inner energy, even though on the outside it might look not much is happening, but this inner energy will need it for the change of direction in our life. And of course, the first thing that is happening is that Venus is retrograde and stationary, and then going direct. First starts with retrograde till the 14th of April, and from a week before the 14th and a week after the middle of April, basically it's stationary, and then it goes direct, and it's happening in Pisces, guys, in your sign. Venus becoming retrograde, Venus in your sign in Pisces, especially Pisces that are born from 20 to 30 degrees in Pisces will feel this the most, which means that Pisces that are born from around the 10th, 11th to around the 20th of March will feel this retrograde Venus the strongest. And what does it mean? Well, it's about an overall change, even in your appearance, that Venus retrograde and changing direction in Pisces can bring. If Pisces is your ascendant, for example, it can change your appearance. It can, and even the sun and moon, it can make you more beautiful after that. We can do some beauty therapies with procedures, which can change your outlook, which can change your look, your appearance. You might be asked to do some very important Venusian activities that require a lot of your efforts. Like, for example, Venusian activity is being something to do with beauty, something to do with art, something to do with design. So if you're someone creative already and you're Pisces, and you're working, or something to do with nursing, something to do with Venus is the nurse, is the soother, is the counselor, the advisor. Venus is the one that others go to when they're not feeling well, to be calm, to be reassured, to be made feel easier, better, smoother, because this is what Venus is. And you might be asked to fulfill such roles, to play such roles while Venus, is stationary, retrograde in your sign almost till the end of April. Or you might be asked to put more efforts in Venusian activities with women, work with women, some kind of negotiations. Venus rules negotiations, Venus rules. And Venus, by the way, also rules your 3rd house, where Taurus is. And your 8th house, where Libra is, 8th house. And 3rd house, which means that you might be asked, guys, for example, to be like a middleman, 3rd house, some kind of negotiations that are happening, some kind of important conversations or contracts or agreements that you have to work harder on, for example. Something to do with your siblings or neighbors or teammates or workmates that you have to work, that is brought to your attention and that you have to put more efforts to make more agreeable, to improve, to tweak, to remove something, to reevaluate something as well. Or maybe some trip that you've been planning. 3rd house is traveling, can come back to you to be done, to be completed. Or maybe some important creative project. 3rd house is our skills and our commercial activities. And Venus is skills that are artistic, that are creative, like singing, like dancing, like pottery making, like drawing and painting, Maybe some, or more creative design of some sort, maybe some project connected to design, commercial project, or activity with a team or group of people might be requiring a lot of your attention and putting final touches and improvements in some way. But also Venus is the planet of love naturally, and when it's retrograde in your sign, guys, you can expect this April possibly someone from the past coming back, especially if you're Pisces in the last 10 degrees of Pisces, Someone from the past, like a unrequited love or a relationship that didn't get a closure, or just getting in touch with a past loved one person and reconnecting and bonding on a deeper level. Or if there is unresolved and painful issue, Venus can help you actually release it in some way. But throughout the whole month, Venus is making a difficult aspect of 90 degrees with Saturn, which is also becoming stationary and then changing direction, retrograde, in your 10th house, guys. How will this play out? So there might be some important reevaluations of past relationships, how you do love, how you communicate with others, how fair the relationships are between you and your siblings, between you and your relatives, between you and associates of some sorts, because third house rules all those things, or some kind of colleagues of some sort. And there might be some pressure on those relationships because Saturn is making difficult aspect to Venus, which affects you directly, affects your mood as well, affects the direction of your life. And some revelation, maybe some pressure from authority figures as well are likely on you. Venus in the first house, in Pisces. Pisces is you, which can impact your self-worth, because Venus is how much we love ourselves, how much self-worth we give ourselves. So some authority figure or some demanding project in career, 10th house, can be can be putting pressure on you and making you change in some way, making you reevaluate the direction of your life as well. There might be more demanding bosses, more demanding work that's happening, Saturn becoming stationary and then retrograde. We might be going back to an old career project or an old job, or to do some restructure in our career, to do some restructure in our social status. And, you know, on a general level, Venus is our love relationship, Saturn giving us a reality check in regards to your relationships, guys. And it might be a little bit of a slap or sobering up, but you see it more realistically. And Venus loves to be aspected by Saturn, because we have to be realistic in relationships. We have to be, Venus is a fair planet. It wants equal and fair share in relationships. And if something is not fair, Saturn comes and straightens it out, because Saturn is a no-nonsense planet. So also another way we can interpret this, the 10th house is our status, like marriage and career. The first house is us. So something to do with we're changing ourselves in some way, which is you, Pisces, sorry, which is Venus in the first house. You're changing yourself in some way, and through more diplomacy and charm, you can also affect your career. You can affect your social status. You can affect the status of your marriage and of your how bosses and authority figures view you, or some important career project in your life. And by the way, remember that Venus rules also your 8th house. 8th house rules transformations. In the first house, transformations of the physical body, transformations of your appearance, transformations of your how you present yourself, deep psychological transformation on an emotional level as well that can happen. That makes you a very different person by the end of April, but which requires more self-discipline, Saturn, more structure and more order in your life. And another wonderful way that it can manifest, even though it's hard, is you having to work harder, Saturn, put more discipline and order in regards to improve your appearance and beauty, or your self-worth in some way. On a negative level, how can it play that some very demanding career project, very demanding authority or an institution, like government institution or boss figure, that is raining down on your self-confidence, on your self-worth, on your self-value, and putting a lot of pressure on you in some way. Okay, so, but of course, it can be turned into positive, again, all such things. Or another thing is that how others value you, 8th house is the opinions of others, their values, is directly impacting how you value yourself. Venus in the first house is directly impacting the path in your life, and you're starting to change something because of seeing the reflection of others' values and how they estimate you. And the reflection of other values is resources that come to us from others. And so Venus can bring also those themes to you. Say, for example, alimonies, loans from banks, resources that, like clients' money and the investments of other people, that we're working out some details and trying to fix somehow with our personal efforts in the first house. Themes of taxes, of insurances, inheritances, and other people's resources can be very present in your life, guys, as Pisces now in April, and can require extra efforts in working out the details. There might be some blockages, and that's directly affecting your status and directly affecting your career plans in some way as well. And maybe putting some authority, also involved with some authority figure that's putting this pressure. But Venus starts moving direct from the middle towards the end of April. You start feeling it. So any complications with such 8th house matters, which we said is other people's evaluations of us and resources that come to us from others, and all those other 8th house things, they start getting resolved, and they start kind of the complicatedness there and the extra efforts you have to put, you'll start seeing the results of that. And last but not least, Mercury is also going stationary and then retrograde for most of April in your 3rd house. So we see again here a repeat of this theme that the 3rd house is about skills and efforts, and Mercury has the same energy as the 3rd house. So you might be asked to use 3 times more expertly, 3 times more diligently, with more efforts, your skills. Maybe you're trying to brush up on some old skills, on some old interest of yours, or you have to go and revisit your skill set and use it to much more, to a much higher and detailed extent, while Mercury is retrograde in your 3rd house, to be more diligent. You have to be careful with documents. You have to be careful with signing documents. Just review the small print and everything there. If you're going through some contract, through some agreement, if you're going through some plans connected to marketing, to advertising, to some project connected to administrative work, marketing, advertising, management, organization, it might require you most of April 3 times more efforts. Basically, this is when some important project usually comes and requires more efforts, maybe some redoing, maybe some you submit it one time, or you do the plan once and something doesn't work out and you have to do it better and better. But again, by the time Mercury returns direct in May, you'll have much better and lasting results and a plan for action, and any projects connected to writing, speaking, marketing, management, organization, travel will be better executed by the time Mercury returns direct again, sometime in May, But initially it will require your reassessment, reevaluation, maybe some important changes in regards to your relationships with siblings, in regards to your relationships with relatives, some important changes and more important conversations with colleagues, with teammates, people from your everyday environment that require extra efforts from you, that require speaking up the truth, that require that you can't bury those things anymore and you have to communicate them out. And this can be more complicated. It requires effort, It's not like a smooth sailing. But again, by the end of this process, you can have much more clearer standing in relationships with such people, which is signified by the 3rd house. But anyway, we have so many things happening. Also reevaluation and change of career. There is a direction in your career that is happening. And the best approach is Venusian. In all of April is Venusian. Be diplomatic, be agreeable, try to compromise. Because Venus, the most important thing, is retrograde in your sign, and it gives you the added benefit of extra charm and balanced, harmonious thinking. So try and use that, because you see the month is very intense with so many different areas being activated, changing direction, demanding from you. And on top of that, Jupiter, the planet that rules you, is also moving retrograde as well, and requiring extra efforts. But with Venusian charm and with Venusian diplomacy and negotiation and compromise, you can get amazing results. So thank you very much, Pisces, and I will see you next month, and do write to me how the month is going.